Hey everybody, if you're watching this, I know you're expecting the local news, but this week we're trying something new. And that's coming up next. All right. I'm Peter Brown, and I usually am the host of the local news. But if you are an old viewer or listener of ours, you might remember an old show that Uncle Ed and I used to do called Ultras Alive, which was a podcast we were doing way before podcasts were actually cool. So cool, we didn't want to call it a podcast. We wanted to call it radio because, you know, podcasts weren't cool. Podcasts are cool again. But this is the evolution of the podcast. And so I can't, of course, do this alone. I have to do it with Uncle Ed. So welcome, Uncle Ed.
How you doing, guys? I hope you guys like this new format. Well, it's not a new format. It's like, you know, we were talking to Peter about it. It was, we're kind of like going back in time, but with a new format. And, you know, now it's video. So now you guys can see our ugly mugs. So that's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, for sure. You know, so this is going to, we're going to try to do this most every week. So it's we're going to try to do it weekly. And the goal is this is going to be on Sunday evenings. So right now you're watching this on Monday, but our goal is to get this up on Sunday evenings, and we want to stream it live so that you guys can participate with the show. So that will be coming up in the next few weeks, hopefully. So we're just working out some of the technology side of things as this is all new and different. So, bear with us as we go through this. But I mean, Ed, we've got to start off this week talking about the big coin flip that happened over the weekend.
Yeah. Well, it just happened for us a couple of hours ago. I was watching it live, and it was pretty cool. We actually won our first thing. Inter Miami won their first thing. It was the coin toss. We won. Yeah,
and you know, so we that meant we got to go first. Let's look at hang on, Ed. We can't move on. And without talking about this coin, we're looking at this coin right now, and it looks amazing. I want to buy one of these coins. It's got
collectors. It's collectors items right there.
They've got to sell it on MLSsoccer.com, right? They've got the Inter Miami logo on the front, and I'm not showing the Nashville logo on the back because I don't really care. I just want to look at it in Jorge Mas's hand that we're looking at right here, and so that's a great scene. But before we go too far, so they met up in New York on Decision Day. This is the Decision Day where it's the last regular season game of the MLS season, and I mean, so a lot of decisions are made, I guess, as far as who's making it in the playoffs and who's not making it into the playoffs. So it's an exciting day. MLS did a great job of the coverage. I'm watching the MLS Match Day stuff on YouTube, and then on ESPN Plus they had a wraparound show. So they've got their pundits sitting there talking about all the games while they're happening live, and showing all the goals so you don't miss anything. So it's really a cool show. So they did a great job. And in between all that, we had a coin flip. So Ed, let's show a little video that we stole from the TV screen of the coin flip, and let's see what the first pick was from Inter Miami.
Flip that coin. Let's see who has the first pick in the expansion priority draft. And it's up, and the reveal: Inter Miami CF have won the coin flip. They will have the first pick in the expansion priority draft. Fellas, what will you take?
Expansion draft.
All right, with the number one pick in the expansion priority draft, Inter Miami take the number one pick in the 2019 MLS Expansion Draft.
All right, Ed, so they won. Inter Miami won. They got to go first. They picked the expansion draft. Tell me what your thoughts are on that pick, and why do you think that was the best pick? And if so, why?
Yeah, definitely the best pick because that's where most of the players are going to come from, and it's very important that they mentioned something that before there were I think they could only protect 11 players. This year they could protect
12. Right.
So that's something important that kind of makes it a little more difficult to get a better player. But at the same time, as I was saying, there's a lot of good players that aren't going to be that some of these teams aren't going to want. And we could pick those guys up. So I think it's important that we're going to be the first ones to pick. We're going to pick the best one out there.
Right.
For sure. And I want to see the list of all the players that are available.
Well, yeah, and they won't release that list until 3 days before the draft. So now all we could do is hypothesize and kind of guess a little bit. And all we know for sure, really, is that we cannot pick players from DC United, Vancouver Whitecaps, FC Dallas, Houston Dynamo, or New York Red Bulls. And that's because those teams had players picked in the last expansion draft. So they're exempt. They don't want to hurt any one team too much. And something interesting too is you can only pick one player from each team. So it's like once a team is picked from LAFC, you can't pick from LAFC again, right?
Right.
So, And the way it'll work is probably we'll pick some really good player, and Nashville will pick somebody from, say, Orlando.
Right. Yeah, why not? Why not? I'm excited because we need to fill up our roster, and there's a lot of good players out there that are going to fill up a lot of those positions that we need. I think we had spoken about I think we should stay away from goalkeepers. I'm sorry. No,
in the expansion draft, let's take a goalkeeper. Yeah. That's where I wanted to use a goalkeeper. I don't want to use a goalkeeper on an international spot, but in the expansion draft,
that's what I meant.
To me, that's one of the most valuable. If we could get a goalkeeper that knows the tendencies of the other MLS strikers that are already out there, and look, we're not going to get some team starter, right? They're going to protect that player, but there could be a goalkeeper that is just not getting the opportunity to start because he's on, he's sitting behind a really good goalkeeper. So maybe that's who we can get. Maybe there's that next up and coming goalkeeper that it will be available that is perfect fit. We need MLS experience because MLS is a different kind of animal, as we all know, especially as you know, if you paid attention to this coin flip thing, it's a very different kind of animal. So, I think definitely a goalkeeper would be good. But who else? What else is there a player out there, Ed, that you think might be, unprotected that you could dream of and want?
I don't know. There's going to be a few. We're not going to know until they bust out with the list.
I know. I'm just trying.
There's a whole bunch of players I can name, but they're going to not, especially now that they're going to have 12 players that are going to be protected. Now it's one more. Basically, all their starters are safe.
Right. Unless it's a player that they decided they want to move away from, maybe for salary cap reasons. Maybe somebody who's got 1 year left in their contract, and so they'll ship them out. So there's definitely some possibility of getting some decent players just because of that type of situation.
Right. And there's some other stuff that I'd like to find out. Like, for example, if Zlatan wants to leave, but then he decides to stay, could they protect him? Would you know something like that?
Well, I think they would protect him regardless, right? He's still under contract. I'm assuming they would protect him. He's not going to end up in Miami. I mean, if he leaves MLS, he's leaving MLS. He's not coming to Miami.
He'd love to come over here, though.
Yeah, but who would you rather have? You would rather have Zlatan or some of these other players that have been mentioned?
Oh, no, some of the other guys.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
Even though Zlatan's still good. But
he is.
I'd take Cavani over him, I think.
I think I would agree. I think Cavani would be the guy that I would really, like to see.
Yeah. And but let's move on a little bit now to the other pick. I think it was Nashville. I'm not sure they picked the number one position in allocation ranking order for some reason. I don't think that was a good pick.
I I would agree, Ed. I'm having a little technical difficulty that you can't see, but I would agree. I think I don't know. Does it show that they're inexperienced maybe in MLS? You know, that they make the wrong decision. You know, on this pick. You know, we got somebody like you know, Paul McDonough who has done this before, and you know, it makes I think he has a better, a more educated decision. You know.
Right.
You know, so I think they made a mistake. I'm flood, you know, kind of all over the place a little as I mess around with your camera there.
Yeah. No. It just when I saw that, I was like, I can't believe they did that. But you know, and I was like, well, that's good for us, you know, because then we picked the SuperDraft, which is basically all the collegiate players. We get first pick on that, and I think that's huge. There's a lot of potential players out there, and I think, you know, down the line, this draft isn't going to be as important because a lot of people are going to come out of the academies and stuff like that. So the college players isn't going to be such a big deal. That's more of an American thing for like football and you know, baseball and all that stuff. But right now it still matters because there's still some talent out there.
Right.
And that's a good advantage I think that Inter Miami has. I think we made out like bandits on this thing.
Yeah, well, let's watch the little clip of our second pick, which was actually the third pick in the draft.
Then Inter Miami, back on the clock. What do you take?
The number 1 pick in the SuperDraft.
The number 1 pick in the 2020 MLS SuperDraft presented by Adidas is off the board. Some notable names of late: Miles Robinson of Atlanta, Andre Shinashiki, Hassani Dotson, both Rookie of the Year candidates this season, and Mason Toye was taken in 2018. So certainly some talent there.
All right, so the SuperDraft, we got the first pick in the SuperDraft. So, you know, the funny thing is, if you look at the list of all the picks, and I'll put that up on the screen, is, you know, I think they're listed there by importance. Maybe not, you know, I don't know if they're going to say that, but I think that's the truth. So you've got the expansion draft is at the top of this list that we're looking at. Then you've got the super draft, which is the second one, and then the allocation, which is the third. We got the top 2 out of the important 3. The other 2 on the bottom of this list are not nearly as important, but the top 3 are the most important of this entire draft. We got the top 2 of the top 3. So the MLS SuperDraft. Now, Ed, you might feel like the Super Draft is not the most important thing because a lot of our players may come from Argentina, you know, because so many of them have come from Argentina, right? But you know where it's important too is, okay, we may not want to use that first draft. We could trade it,
Right.
you know. So yeah. I think the fact that you know, it's just valuable in the trade market.
Yeah. And Peter, you know, maybe you might want to explain a little bit to me, because what's with these penultimate position in MLS reentry and the discovery one as well? I'm a little not too familiar with those.
Well, so, you know, I guess if we go back to those picks, so the reentry draft is you know, our players that you know, may have left MLS. And you know, went some, you know, now they're coming back, they're re-entering the draft, if I understand it correctly, and more importantly are players that have been waived, right? So players that you know, weren't wanted by their MLS teams, maybe again because they're getting a little older, maybe because they're out of contract or something like that. So you know, those kind of players would obviously be part of that. So that's not a bad pick, but yeah, I mean.
Yeah. But yeah, I see what you're saying. And then the discovery player ranking thing is a little confusing.
I'm not 100% sure on that one, honestly, Ed. Yeah, I think we all
basically. I think they've got a list of I think it's 5 players or 6 players that they could put where every team has like a dream player. Messi, for example, or, you know, players, you know, that they get first, the first, you know, bid on, I guess, and I think that's what what this is all about. Penultimate position discovery, yeah. But.
Yeah, I would agree. Discovery player, because when an MLS team wants to look out after a player, and maybe it's even a young player that's up and coming, they'll put a discovery tag on that player, and it may be years before he ends up in MLS. But whoever put that discovery tag on that player first gets first dibs at that. So how that affects into this draft, I'm not 100% sure, because I don't know if you could steal somebody's pick I guess you could. So if say Chicago Fire have a discovery tag on a player that we're interested in, I'm guessing we could steal it just because we have the first pick. We could take somebody's. I'm guessing that's.
It might be something like that. But how does that cover? Like, for example, I referred to Messi earlier. All right, let's say Columbus has Messi on their list. We want to go after Messi. We actually have an opportunity to go after Messi. Do they actually talk to these people, or it's just like, oh, I just picked this guy out of random?
I don't know if they always talk to him, Ed. I think MLS is weird in that. So on this,
Peter, you would know these things.
You think? I know a lot about MLS, but some of these rules, man, they're as much as we know, they're wacky,
yeah.
And so I'm sure there's somebody that's watching this that has an even better understanding of all of the picks and the rules. The penultimates are the ones that Ed and I are a little bit confused about. But at the end of the day, they're not all that important. Really, it's about those top three that we're really interested in. And I would say, if you look at this, I would say that we won this by a landslide. I mean, you got to look at it. It's like this is our first victory, and it just seems so fitting for a team that it's been so hard to get into the league that finally, it's like
look how old I am.
Yeah, I know, you're all gray
hair,
all that gray, and the funny thing is, you're younger than I am.
Yeah, and I don't have much hair as it is, so
yeah. Well, it thins as you get older, and that's just the way it is, Ed. But. Like I said, it was so hard for us to get into MLS that it seems to be so fitting that we're actually finally starting to win something. We're winning, this draft pick that it feels good. And I was telling my wife while I was watching this on YouTube, and I was watching it live. And I was excited, man. I had the butterflies almost. I was like cheering, like as if, and it's like we haven't done anything yet. But I'm like, yeah, we won.
Like we scored a goal. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
We got the first pick. Yeah.
And at this time, it means really, it just means strategy and stuff. But we don't know. We won't know anything until November 19th.
Right.
So we still got over a month to wait. But
yeah,
man, it felt good that it's been hard and to get into this league. And my dog just walked into the room, and and so we finally got. I was talking about, Ed, how I felt sitting there watching and cheering it. What were the emotions that you went through as you're watching us kind of just win this pick?
Yeah, no, I was like, yes, and like there was nobody to talk to, but I was like, okay, it's just me. But it was fun, man. It was cool. It's like you said, it's like our first victory. We haven't even played yet. So we're getting there, Peter. That's the team is starting to take shape. So that's real exciting. Yeah,
and with so many young players already lined up, this expansion draft is going to be really important to pick up some older, experienced MLS players, like we talked about, a goalkeeper maybe, or something like that. That'll be great. But Ed, let's change the subject of today. Something else that has been a concern of mine, and as I scour social media, it seems to be a concern of other people, is, and the funny thing is, my wife brought this up too as I was trying to explain to her the significance of this, because she's trying to learn a little bit as so she could get into it for next season, is that we don't have a coach. We still don't have a coach.
We don't, and that's coming up. They keep talking about, it's going to be this month.
Heard that before.
Hopefully, it is this month. I think they will. They need to get that, especially after we get all these players. We need somebody to put everything together. So who do you think, Peter, it's going to be?
Well, it seems like the winning by popular opinion is Solari. It sounds like everybody says it's a done deal, right? So, but you never know. He seems to be the perfect fit, right? Because he's coached youth. and we're going to have a youthful team at a high level. And he spent most of his coaching career at one club, at Real Madrid, and that's not a bad club to model your players after. That system is not that's not bad. I'll take that. And then coach their second team, so that might be a little more similar to an MLS team. I don't know the quality of the second division in that league, but it's got to be. Maybe it's similar, but I think he's a good. Plus, he went to college in New Jersey, so he's very fluent in English. He played college soccer before going back to Europe, and I think he's the right pick. I wasn't sure at first, but the more I learn about him, the more I think he is. And he's the coach that everybody keeps talking about like it's a done deal. So is it? I mean, my dog keeps hitting my camera. It's driving me nuts. Just walking back and forth, Ed. But
wants your attention.
But he's not on the couch with me. He's walking around, bumping into things. But old man, he's an old man, Ed, just like us.
Yeah.
But anyways, we have to have this coach in place at least before this draft, several weeks before this draft, because this coach is going to have to become knowledgeable on players that currently he doesn't know anything about.
And they only have you said 3 days for them to pick their players, whoever they want. So
but right now, Paul McDonough's got, I'm sure, a list of players on the wall of people he thinks. You can make an educated guess. He's been in this league long enough. You can make an educated guess on who might be available.
Yeah, and maybe we should, just happen to go by the office, I don't know, during lunchtime. Go say hello and, peek in that office. He's always got that office closed.
I was going to say, when I went there, Ed, we didn't go to that floor. Are we allowed on that floor?
No, he was there, man. I know where his office is at, and but the door's always closed.
Yeah, he doesn't want any stragglers looking at that at that whiteboard.
He probably has a board in there. I don't know. It's always closed.
But Ed, who? Okay, so I think it's Solari. Do you think? Can you think of anybody else that you think might be a good candidate, or somebody forget about good candidate, but just somebody you think that actually could end up here?
On the MLS, one of their shows, they were talking about Thierry Henry. He might be another possibility. He knows the league. I don't know about his coaching experience, but he definitely knows the league. He speaks the language. I think he even speaks Spanish. So he'd be another interesting. I think Solari by far is the most interesting of them all. Unless we won or something like that.
And and a lot of these rumors that we've been hearing about it seem to. I mean, we don't really know if they're 100% accurate, but they seem to be somewhat believable, right? So, and he's the one that everybody's reporting on. I think it's been reported like as if it's done. It's just it hasn't been announced.
Yeah, Michelle Kaufman. I saw her talk about it on the Big O show, and where else did I see? Everybody's talking about it here in Miami.
They're talking about it like it's a done deal. And just the fact that it hasn't been announced. So announce it already. This guy's he's got to get to know. He's got to have an input. He's got to have some input in what players they pick, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I think you're right. They should probably pick him before they do the drafting. I think it's important.
All right, Ed. Let's start wrapping this up. This is we're going to try to keep these videos around 20 to 30 minutes, guys. They're going to be a little bit longer form than some of our news videos, but hopefully you enjoy them. But Ed, so wrapping up the day, we're excited. Can't wait for November 19th now. And just real quick, what do you think? Do you think they will actually keep the number one SuperDraft pick, or do you think they'll trade it?
No, I think they'll keep it. There's got to be some good player out there, and if we would have been second, I think they could have probably traded. But in this case, I think they'll keep it, and man, I think we're gonna get whatever good players out there.
All right, Ed. I think
very few. I
think I'm gonna disagree with you. I think we have enough youth on this team already. I mean, we need more. Okay, right. But if you want someone that's going to impact the team right now, I think you trade out of that spot and you could go get somebody else. You cannot, because you could trade out of that spot and not necessarily pick another player. I mean, you're going to get another draft pick lower, and that's what Paul McDonough did in Atlanta. They traded out of the first spot and went down and picked what's his name, Griesel, I think his name is, in the 8th spot. So I could see him doing that again, trading out of that spot and getting targeted allocation money or something that they could use to buy another player, a foreign player maybe, or just bring home an American player or something like that. I think just going by what he did last time, I could see him doing it again.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll definitely see what happens. Maybe we should put some. We should do a bet on that or something.
A little wager. I don't know about that, Ed. I don't know if I believe it my stand that much. It'd have to be a small wager. You could think about that, and we could talk about
a beer. How's that?
A beer.
Oh, by the way, Peter's in Fort Lauderdale, and I'm in Miami right now.
Yep, and everybody can see that on the screen, Ed. You can't. So the way this show is working, Ed is Skyping in from Miami, and I'm doing this show somewhere in the general area of Fort Lauderdale. It's kind of the way we used to do the Ultras Alive show, us in 2 different locations. Just now we can actually look at each other when we're doing it. So we're going to try to do this on most Sunday evenings coming soon. Today was on Monday, but hopefully in the near future, these will be done live on Sunday evenings, and we want to stream these live. And just like we used to do on the old Ultras Alive show, we used to have guests. So we plan on doing the same thing this time. So a lot of the guests may just be friends that we have in other MLS cities to really get to know the fans in other MLS cities and talk. Just like this is a fan-made show and fan-made channel, so we want to talk to some other MLS fans out there and talk some dirt. We've got some people that we know in Nashville, so we're gonna look them up in the near future. But you never know; we could also get some people on here from Inter Miami as well. So look forward to some guests in the near future. Bear with us as we work out some technical difficulties if this video does not come out perfectly, because it may not. But we're still working out some of the technical difficulties. But we really appreciate everybody watching, and tune in next week, and we'll do this again. And hopefully next week we'll be doing it live. Yeah. All right, guys. See you later. Like and subscribe. We'll talk to you next week.